Hey guys, welcome to SweetTrades. It's going to show you pretty much the only websites that I use anymore. First one is a dilution tracker. Okay, so you you got a lot of information here. There ain't nothing on Bath and Body Works, but um, try anything else. The main thing I look at what their cash position is. Do they have cash or no? Because that's important with these crappy stocks so much. Uh, s- you know, you have to learn why um, to understand that. That's not something I'm going into right now. Um, but unless nothing's been recorded, dilution tracker, any ticker that you're curious about, you can go to see what sector it's in, country it's from, all that good stuff. Um, their cash position, and if you pay for the premium, you can see where any warrants they have, what prices that they are at, potentially how many more warrants they have to sell into the market, things of that nature. Um, you know, if you pay for this, you'll see the like the float size that they have, whether it'll be accurate. Um, you know, maybe maybe it is, maybe it ain't. I don't trust any of them. I just want an average. That's why I just look at shares. I don't even look at that on dilution tracker. I just look at shares on Thinkorswim personally. So pick your poison as far as that goes. Um, but all I look at on this usually, honestly, anymore, this is it. That's the only thing I look at if I'm going to trade a stock. Quickly come over here and look at it. Um, okay, and then of course if you trade or want to trade reverse splits, or if you want to check and see if um, a stock you're about to trade is approved for a reverse split, you can go over here to the left. I think they've got the best list out there most of the time, and you can see under here they're listed. You can search that for whatever ticker you're trading. You'll know whether or not a boat is approved, or if it's complete, when it was completed, all that stuff. Um, pending S1s, completed offerings. Uh, there's a lot of good information there. Um, and then the only other one I use is OTC markets. If I'm looking, what is it? Yeah, I don't remember what this. Okay, so like bet farms, um, put the ticker in, you go to disclosure, and come down here and you'll see the most recent, so you can click on that and see what that 6K, 8K, whatever it is. Uh, if it's not listed on dilution tracker, I might come here to see. Yeah, I don't know what do they do. Maybe there's some, it's financial services. You know, any details about um, what the stock is, you can find there. Uh, that's the most important one, and most time I use OTC markets. It's just cleaner for me. I don't I get confused with some of those other websites. There's some good ones, so again, pick your poison. Um, but you should learn a little bit about disclosures, and what specific ones are for, what to look for. Um, Not really going to go into that at this time. I just wanted to show you the websites that I use. Those are the only two that I use anymore. Um, I think I don't remember if I said this or not. I used to do the paid version of dilution tracker, but I just really found myself that I don't know. I was reading too much into the information I was seeing and avoiding stocks that I shouldn't have been avoiding. So I just cancel it so I wouldn't see that stuff. And that way I rely more on what I see on the chart, the volume that I see, uh, you know, on the chart. And I think that ends up being a better for me. Okay. HIND, little trade review here. So on 127, they had put out some news, something about successful completion of phase 3 study. Right. I didn't see that on that day. This stock was up over $3. The day that I saw was February 2nd. Okay. So they put out some news and sold into that news. So all these people that bought on this day, they were really sad. And on the second is when it popped up and I saw it on the scan. Um, right there. So in pre-market, right here, this candle, that was at right about 6 o'clock, right? They had put the news out. They had put, essentially the same news, and it popped on that, quickly went up here. I imagine it wasn't there for very long, come back down. But I looked at the news real quick. I saw that, and then looked at the yearly chart and could see this really quick. So I look at that date and I referenced the news. I see that it was the same news, just written in a different way. And I thought, it gapped down a lot. Likely there was that day here it did 44 million. I mean, I thought maybe there's some shorts in there, but I wasn't really expecting a short squeeze. I just thought that the stock could move on that news and got back up towards where it had dropped from. It's that simple. There's nothing complicated about it. I quickly took a position on this. Got it at I took 1,800 shares at 199. This did drop initially at the open. I should have been more patient. That wasn't very good I didn't have good patience that day. It still ended up being a good entry, and it was setting. When it made that drop, it quickly popped back up. I would have been cutting this uh, very soon after this move had it not made a move back up. I was ready to cut it as quickly as I could. Lucky for me, it held and started pushing up. This was a longer trade because I took this position over here in pre-market, and it looks like I had my sales during 12 and 1, somewhere around that area. So a longer trade. I don't really like those. I didn't make a lot, 220, but that's a solid win. That's a solid win. If you look into the future there a couple of days, you'll see 2 days later it made new highs, another 50 cents, and even went higher on the 6th, yeah, February 6th. So, could have I been even more patient and maybe kept 100 shares or a couple of hundred shares? Sure. Uh, but it didn't make a big enough move for me to warrant that. I like day trades. I don't like swinging. I'm not great at it. So if you find something that you're good at, stick with that. Test other ways of trading. But if you're not making money in the other ways, then limit them down so that you're not, if those are the losing ways, then just don't do them as much. Test them because you might get good at it, but stick with what earns you money. 220 on that, not bad at all. So can't complain about 220. On the 26, let's see, GXAI, I've got that one still on the chart, so you can see, what I did. But I was just looking at AI plays, and this one had done this the day before I saw that, so I was looking at it. That's where your due diligence comes into play. Um, and then when it opened up at 3, it come right back down to this area. And then pretty much when it started pushing up, I just, I didn't hesitate. I just bought some. Um, and I sold, you know, I just sold into the spots. There was definitely something that I saw in this area that I didn't like that made me sell. I'm not um, a perfect trader. I think I had, yeah, top sell was 265. So yeah, when this candle dropped, I ended up selling the rest right there in that area, you know. So it turned out it was a great spot to sell, and since it hasn't been able to do anything, but I mean it's a pretty nice $800 win right there, and it was just, I mean, the whole thing was based on, for one thing, I was watching a list of AI tickers, and then the other part of that was just that, it did this little thing that just kind of woke me up. I was watching, bam, take a position. I mean, this 118, I didn't even say, it's right there. 118 is where I bought. Like, I mean, I literally had my risk on this was if it gets below a dollar, I'll cut it, and I mean, it barely dipped, you know, which, it's not always the case. Question is, do you have the discipline to cut it if it does? You know, if my discipline was where it needed to be and this thing dropped, to a dollar and then 99 cents and then 98, I had to cut it, and then I would have lost, I don't know, a couple hundred or yeah, I mean, not bad. It was good risk reward. I really did expect a move like this. Luckily, my train of thought was that it would not continue to go up. So I didn't think much about trying to keep um, a bunch of these shares for later. A good thing I didn't. Um, hey, i- if you can literally make, I mean, this was 640, so by seven. I mean, that was a 1 hour trade. I was in it for like a little less than an hour. Uh, $800 for an hour of work. So $800 an hour. I mean, why would you complain about that? But the other thing about the technical analysis and what I look for, it's pretty simple. I just, if I'm interested in something, I look at a yearly chart. I've got this one set at 1 year, 1 day. I've got a 20-day, 20-minute chart. I look at that, you know, see has anything happened? Nothing, pretty much, and then I've got 10-day, 5 minute. I rarely look at that one, to be honest with you. I'm just filling the space in. Um, and then I use a 3-day, 3 minute, which the 3-day just allows me to quickly look back a couple of days. That's why I have it on 3-day, and then I prefer 3 minute. So, um, the last video, I talked about, uh, I've talked about, that Thinkorswim, of course, right here is my main tool. It's where I stay most of the time. It gives me most of the information I want. And then a couple of websites that I go to for more specific things. If I need to know, if I need to talk myself out of trading something, I'll go to those websites. It helps with that. Sometimes you'll find something that's nasty, you know, and and then you got to start looking at the charts. You got to try to figure out where you're going to buy. But I mean, this was a good example of was a really good example of a good uh, solid entry. You know, um, hell, risk reward on this was really good. I mean, I was very close. You know, uh, very close to where this closed the day before. You know, I don't. To me, that's always a good spot to buy. Um, so there you go. There's your first lesson of that's what a good entry looks like. Um, this is what you need. Don't buy it here. Don't buy it here. Don't do that because then you'll be selling it probably here, here. You're still holding it over here. You're hoping it's going to go, it'll go up there one day, probably, maybe, but probably maybe's not going to make your account grow in size. See y'all on the next video.